Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you came and joined us today. We have a musical guest today, recording artist Paula McDougle from the group Purpose, and she's 1/3 of the group. And I am so glad that she's with us today. Welcome from Alabama, Paula.
Hello, brother. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this program with you today.
Well, tell us a little bit about your group. What do you do and why do you do it? Purpose, right?
Purpose is the name of our group. I tell you, I'll just start with that name. Well, let me say this first. We have been an organized group. We actually just on July the 31st of this year celebrated our 10th official anniversary. So we've been traveling officially as a group for over 10 years now. And when we began looking for a name for our ministry, we don't consider ourselves necessarily to be a singing group. There's a lot of good singers out there, but we just kind of know our calling, and I'll try to go into that. But Purpose, we began looking for a name, and one of the guys just said, "Why not Purpose?" And we're like, "Well, we don't know anybody else by the name of Purpose. We'll go with that." But then we began researching Purpose, and we felt like our theme verse that we have settled upon from the very beginning is simply Romans 8:28, which all things work together for good to them that love the Lord, who are the called according to his purpose. Now, we often say when we're in our services, again, we don't feel like we're just singers. We are a ministry team. We feel like we're an evangelistic team. We will go into the church and we feel like we all have a story to share. So, sometimes there are things in our lives that happen that we wish had never happened. But, God declares that he can take all things and work them for his good. And that is our ministry. Our story is to go and to share. There are different times that each of us have something to share in a service, or there'll be some service that's more, I feel led to share, and sometimes Byron or Tim will feel led to share. And so we just feel like that our purpose is to go and share and remind people that no matter what you've gone through, the things that we wish we could take a big eraser and go back in a race, God's still able to take those things and use those things to bring glory to his name through your lives, through the lives of the people. So as you said, my name is Paula McDougle, and I live here. We all live here in Russellville, Alabama. Now, Russellville, Alabama is northwest corner part of Alabama. We're about 20 miles from east of the Mississippi line, and probably about 50 miles south of the Tennessee line. So we are in a corner section over here, and it's a small area, but we travel out just about every weekend. I am the one woman person in the group. The other two guys, we have Mr. Byron Gann, and Byron sings our baritone part, and then we also have Mr. Tim Williams. And Tim is typically our spokesperson. As I told you, I try to do my best to get these interviews thrown into his lap, but he was not available. And we've been working on this. So I broke down and said, okay, I'm going to do it. So anyway, Tim and Byron and Paula, the three of us make up Purpose. We've been, are often asked, how did y'all meet, or how did the group come about? Back over 10 years ago, I was the music director, worship leader, choir leader, whatever you want to call it, in my local church. And Byron was actually a part of that praise team, choir, whatever you whatever terminology you want to use. And he and I were already friends. Well, Tim at that time, his family had traveled all over this country. And his family actually came to our church in October of this particular year, which would have been, I guess, about '09. And they came to sing at our homecoming. Well, Tim's mother from the platform that day said, my sons, Tim has two brothers beside himself. And his mother said from the platform that day that I have my three sons here with me today, and they're all single, and I'm taking applications for them today. Well, there was a young lady in our church that came to me because she knew that I knew them already. And she said, I would like to have an application for that gentleman right there, pointing to Tim. And so I went and told Tim and his mother, I said, I've got someone wanting an application. And so he asked who it was. And he said, well, I'd be glad to take an application, give her an application. So that was on Sunday. And the following Wednesday night, he was back at church. The next Sunday morning, he was back at church. The next Wednesday night, he was back at church. Now, he only lived about 2 hours, 2.5 hours away, but he was back at church. So he, that was in October. The next May, he and this young lady married. And again, as I was the worship leader, I asked him one Sunday, I said, hey, Tim, would you sing a special for us this weekend? He said, well, I would, but he said, I have never sung solo. I've always had my family to back me up. Do you think that you and Byron could try to sing some harmony with me? And I'm like, well, we'll give it a try. We'll see what happens. And so from that time on, for a year and a half, we were simply known as the church trio and sang in our local church until we began feeling a tugging to begin the official start of Purpose. So that's a little bit of background about the group. So we're just, honored that God calls. Now, we often, I know I'm talking and not letting you get a chance to ask me anything. We often, you'd have to be around us just a little bit. And when it's time to minister, we are serious as can be. But I travel with two nuts. I'm just telling you, I simply travel with two nuts. And we are constantly laughing about something. And we said way back when, and I believe this almost changed my mind to think otherwise, that when God put us together, he nudged his son there and said, I want you to watch this because this is fixed to be funny. We're going to enjoy some laughter out of this bunch. And so it's been 10 years of ministry, but 10 years of good times and laughter. So anyway, we're just honored that God put us together. We're honored that we get to go out and share our stories. And we're honored for the things that we've seen God do over 10 years of ministry.
I think about when I hear your story is the fact that you were serving where you were at, serve where you're planted. And so many times people look for the great ministry and they want to do great ministry or great things and they want to be a great singer, and they're not using their talents or just serving where they're at. And I'm not necessarily saying up to the front worship leader either. I'm just saying serving, because God wants to see not just your ability, he wants to see your availability.
Right.
And
that's correct.
And he wants to see if you're going to be able to serve the local congregation, which you folks have, and how important that is to start off with those roots of serving where you're planted.
Yes, I agree. I just went blank. I was going to say, I was going to agree. I've often said for a long time, I don't have to be this choir leader, but let me be a part of the choir. Just let me be a part. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, it is fascinating and wonderful to think how a group that just comes together singing in a church how God can just bless you and allow you to travel as much or as limited or as much as you can, and to be able to be at the right place at the right time. I'm I'm going to put down below how to get a hold of you. Facebook's probably one of the best ways to get a hold of you and your group, and I'll put down that down in the comment section about how to, your connections, so that folks, if they want to hear you in their church, or they want to find out your material or your CDs or your songs, how to get a hold of them, they could do that. But more important than seeking you out, when you hear this interview, or when you think of Paula and the group purpose, I want you to pray for them. I want you to pray that God would continue to bless them, minister through each and every one of these souls, so that whoever speaks and whoever is going to be at that right moment telling their story in that right church or the event, that they would just continue to be used by God. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Paula, so much for taking the time and being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for, again, inviting us and taking your time to allow a little purpose to be a part of this today. So,
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Paula. And thank you all for joining me, and keep coming back for some more morning moments.